Being out on the water is a very numinous experience. It's the simultaneous experience of fear and awe. There's an added sense of how small you are.
I loved the reenactments of the events that happened 150 years ago, when the whales were brought to the Salt Lake. I thought it was very cinematic, very fun to watch, kept me engaged. I also enjoyed sort of the mythology and the legend behind these whales, and perhaps they're still living in the Salt Lake to this day. Maybe we'll see one. I just loved that atmosphere that was created in this film. But yeah, the cinematography especially is fantastic in this film. I love the use of natural light, the sunset, the way they framed the interviews with the couch in the middle of this vast natural landscape with the Salt Lake and the sand coming together and just looking like one huge reflective space, which is visually stunning. I thought it was really well done. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I love learning about the whales and how easily they escaped into the vastness of the Salt Lake, and everything that it took to get them there. But yeah, this was really informative and really fun. It's not, real life event. It's not some legend. It is real life events that occurred that contribute to this ongoing legend of the whales of the Salt Lake.
It's just such a bizarre idea, knowing what I know about the geography, that I feel like if I had heard about that as a kid, I would definitely want to investigate further. So I absolutely love that somebody did kind of go digging for this information and go hunting through and like looking back at newspapers from the 1800s and trying to kind of track it down and figure out what happened. And I really, really enjoyed those. I thought it was a fascinating story beginning to end. I really liked how they did a combination of her talking in the current kind of scenery, doing a little bit of like reenactment, and then also like showing the newspaper clippings itself, and also more depictions of what things would have looked like in that actual time frame in the 1800s. So I really liked their kind of combination of everything, their approach to it. I thought it was a really, really good blend of those kind of three different things, of like having her kind of be the current voice that's going through all of this, and then also doing reenactments, and then also having like actual drawings, actual newspaper clippings, things like that from that time period, or things of that nature. And I think that, like I said, they had a really, really good blend of the three of those, without trying to do too much, without taking the extra step of, trying to show the glass in cases with the whales in it. I think that leaving that to the imagination of the audience was the perfect way to do it, because then it didn't get too kind of out there. It left it just enough to kind of keep the legend alive and, to kind of keep the magic of that storytelling there.
Cinematography on this was absolutely stunning. It was really, really gorgeous. And the colors that they were able to get just blew me away. I loved the fact that they had period costumes, kind of how they were starting, because they looked really, really good. So great job with their costuming department. The film was educational and it was fascinating, but what I really loved was the fact that they decided to do a male and a female voiceover. I loved their inflection, their delivery. It really kept you engaged. The way that the filmmakers did the graphic art and the text that was in there to go back and forth between live action to the art, really, really good. Yeah, superb visual of her sitting on the couch towards the end. I thought whoever thought of that ingenious.
Just a combination of two different VO styles. So one is giving more of a point of view, and one is giving more a narrative approach. We have the details of the whales being transported to this area, which is a fascinating concept, right? And I love how they take their time to also reenact that so that we get a really more perspective look on how the people who were a part of this story would have dealt with these happenings. Um, and I love how they kind of leave it off where you're not sure, is this a true story? Is this not a true story? Is this a folklore tale? Is this historical fact? And it's not 100% clear.
One, great title, because I was like, whales in a desert? How does that work? Two, I liked the idea of relating it back to storytelling and why stories are important. As a storyteller, that's what connected with me a lot. Three, I like history and I like the History Channel, and I like when the way that you told the story of having her sit there and tell us the story and then cutting to reenactments of the story, narrator reenactments, and that whole juxtaposition, and like that is like I love history comes alive when you do that. And I like history when it comes alive. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna read a history book necessarily, but I like when people tell history in this way, in like this narrative way. Um, so I thought I delivered on that. And three, making the whole using all of that to make the larger point about the environment and like the lake shrinking and the whales and all of that. I think it was great. I think it all worked together in like a beautiful mosaic work of art.